4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, Gallo, let's go. Habs Lunch, Campbell versus Gallo. Everything Montreal Canadiens. And we have our power rankings. Top 5 stories heading into training camp starting this week for the Canadiens golf tournament. Yesterday, it's in the books. Now we head into the season. What will be the headline stories? I'm pretty sure both our number ones are there. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe you got specific with your storylines. Maybe you got generic. You could send some in at 11690. Use the talkback on the iHeartRadio app. But Mitch, would you like to start or would you like me to start with number 5?
Well, Campbell, I'll start with the number 5. And number 5 for me, storylines at training camp this year for the Montreal Canadiens. I'm going to say, who kills penalties? Because if you look at this year's team compared to last year's team, basically you have 10 guys who kills penalties. You have 5 guys on 2 units, so 10 players that kill penalties usually. You have 3 significant players that killed penalties last year that are no longer with this team, right? Joel Armia, Christian Dvorak, and David Savard. They're gone. So who fills those spots on the Montreal Canadiens penalty kill? Are we going to have a situation like a year ago where Martin St. Louis takes a look at things and says, you know what, I want to turn a player who doesn't have a defined role into a penalty killer? See Josh Anderson. Can Brendan Gallagher be this year's Josh Anderson? Are we going to see Strubler or Xhekaj take strides on the penalty kill, replacing David Savard? Do you want Nick Suzuki playing in all situations? Or are you going to try to lessen the load on Suzuki by having a Kirby Dach or an Alex Newhook on the penalty kill? The penalty kill last year was pretty good, especially in the later portions of the season. But you have 3 significant pieces gone, and those 3 significant pieces have to be found within. Who kills penalties? Number 5 on my power rankings.
So number 5 on my power rankings, I'm going to go with, will Florian Xhekaj make the Montreal Canadiens? Why is this on my power rankings? And I do believe it might be a little bit of a long shot with a guy that was playing 4th line with the Rocket, 1 professional season under his belt. We have the depth players, the bubble players. He's on the list, but where is he? Can he climb that list? He will be a fan favorite. We know what the fans feel about Arbor Xhekaj. Florian Xhekaj is the new Xhekaj, is the new shiny toy. And we know in Montreal, Mitch, the fan base rally behind usually 1 or 2 players in training camp, and they try and will them onto the team. We can flash back to years ago. Remember Guillaume Latendresse?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he made the Canadiens a little too soon, right? I felt like the fans willed him. He had an incredible training camp. We go back onto the Canadiens. Absolutely. But sometimes the organization has to take a deep breath and look in and say, yeah, we know everybody wants him here, but we're going to be patient. So, and I don't believe Ken Hughes and Jeff Gorton are going to just listen to the fans and put him on the team.
Right.
But Florian Xhekaj has a legitimate shot to make this team. There's a legitimate spot for him to play a role on this team, being a center iceman that could play wing, big face-offs, penalty killer, you just mentioned it. But the storyline of Florian Xhekaj will come into the top 5 because the fans will want to talk about him every single day.
All right, number 4 for me, Campbell. I am going to go with who.
Oh, again, who?
Who will back up Sam Montembeault? That is a number 4 for me. Everybody thinks it's like a foregone conclusion that Jakub Dobeš will be the backup for Sam Montembeault. And I think it's the most likely scenario. I think it's what the Canadians probably prefer if they have their internal discussions. But I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. I think there's a battle there between Dobeš and Kaapo Kähkönen. And Kaapo Kähkönen has National Hockey League experience. You could have, a Dobeš-Fowler split game by game by game with the Laval Rocket and Kähkönen not get in many games. Now, should be noted the Canadians have a ton of back-to-back situations this season. I believe it's 16 back-to-backs, and that might factor into the decision as well to want maybe the better of the two and not necessarily worry about how much Dobeš is or isn't going to play with the workload given to Sam Montembeault. And I also heard, I was driving in today, and Mark Denis was on the TSN 690 morning show, and he said something that just, it stood out to me a little bit. He mentioned the trade between Philadelphia and Columbus, with Ivan Fedotov going to the Columbus Blue Jackets in that trade. I know, money was a factor there for Philadelphia, 3-point-something million, and a lot of that money was paid already, but the cap number obviously matters there. Mark Denis said that he thinks Kähkönen is better than Fedotov, and Fedotov went to Columbus, assuming to get a job there. So that means that Kähkönen could be susceptible to being claimed on waivers should the Canadians try to send him to the Laval Rocket. Dobeš does not need waivers to go down, and that might factor in here as well. So I'm going to say who backs up Sam Montembeault is my number 4 story.
All right, I'll tell you, that was my honorable mention story, but I'm really leaning that it's Dobeš's job, and Kähkönen's kind of a safety valve for the Canadians. But you're right, that little twist there could put things up in the air. My number 4, it's a simple question. Is David Reinbacher NHL ready? He could have a great training camp and show that he belongs at the NHL level and still go be the number 1 guy in Laval, waiting for an injury, waiting for a call-up, waiting for the opportunity. And that's a fine path for David Reinbacher, who ended up only playing 20 games last season. 20 games and a little bit in the playoffs. So I do think that that's a legitimate question that you can find out at this training camp. You didn't get it at last year's training camp. I just want to know, is David Reinbacher NHL ready? That is a simple question. We will find out at training camp. It's not about making the team. You need to have NHL-ready defensemen in the AHL as well. Maybe he's so good that he'll bump somebody, and then the Canadians have a tough decision to make. But it's just, is David Reinbacher NHL ready?
My number 3 story for the Montreal Canadiens training camp. Campbell, it's not specifically Florian Xhekaj, but I'm going to say my number 3 story is the battle of the bottom-end forwards. So
the bubble players.
The bubble players. That is my number 3 story. It's not Xhekaj specifically, but he factors in here. Because you have a lot of guys vying for just a couple spots. Owen Beck, Sammy Blais, Joe Veleno, Oliver Kapanen, Florian Xhekaj. And then, you know what? You never know. You might throw somebody unexpected into the mix, too, that just shows Luke Tuck. Oh, my God, he's bowling everybody over.
Joshua Roy.
Joshua Roy, he's played in the National Hockey League. What if he has an amazing camp? There's only so many jobs to go around, Campbell. And there's a lot of guys vying for just a couple spots at the bottom end of the roster. And I think that's something we're going to be talking about a ton during training camp, so it's my number 3 story.
All right, my number 3 story was your number 5 story was the PK unit. I do think, not that there's just one spot, it's just the amount of spots that are available for players to go for, and it kind of ties into your bubble players. If Oliver Kapanen, Joe Veleno, Florian Xhekaj, these players show that they can be a penalty killer throughout training camp, it might allow them to make the team in a spot saying, look, the guy kills penalties, he wins faceoff, we'll put him on the 4th line as our center. That might be as easy as that. So my number 3 is the same one as your number 5 for the penalty kill unit.
Number 2 for me is who is the second-line center? Who is the second-line center for the Montreal Canadiens? Will the real second-line center please stand up? Please stand up. Please stand up. Is it going to be Alex Newhook? Is it going to be Kirby Dach? Is it going to be Jake Evans? Like, who is the second-line center on this Montreal Canadiens team? Campbell?
I think I'm just tired of asking that question.
It's been asked. It's been asked all summer long. Is it somebody who's not even here yet? It's going to be a story, not just at training camp, but it's going to be a story for 82 games until somebody either really proves that they can do it on a night-to-night basis or the Canadians go out and acquire somebody. So I'm going with who the Canadian second-line center is number 2.
My number 2 is going to be who's on what power play? Is Lane Hudson going to play 2 minutes? Is Nick Suzuki going to play 2 minutes? How are they going to split up Dobson and Hudson? Does Patrick Laine and Cole Caulfield go on different power play units? Does Slafkovsky become a net front presence, or does he get bumped to the second unit? The first day at training camp when they start working power plays, every phone camera, every text message, every single post on social media will be power play 1, power play 2. I can't believe he's not on power play 1. Can't believe he's not on power play 2. Oh, how is he there? And they're not using Paul Duke in the bumper. Like, everything about the power play this year at training camp will be top of the charts. You can get into the center position. It doesn't really matter. I think power play 1, power play 2, who gets the bulk of the minutes is a huge question, is a huge storyline at training camp for the Montreal Canadiens. No doubt about it. For me, it was almost my number 1 story.
And number 1 for me, drum roll, please. All I wrote was Demidov.
I'll tell you
the
number 1.
Demigod.
I'll tell you number 1 for me. Ivan Demidov. And it kind of ties
Demigod.
It kind of ties into your second line center because my off-season question was
Campbell,
very simple.
It's not just the second line center though. It's also who plays on the other wing. It's who gets to play with Demidov. Yeah,
that's all it is.
But it's not just who plays with him.
He's top of the charts.
How's he look when he touches the puck? Where does he factor into the power play? Is he going to be more of a pass first or shoot first type of player? Because at this point, I think he does both equally well.
Yeah.
What are we going to see out of Demidov come training camp?
I think he is the top of the charts for fans, for media, for the team. It is the top storyline. He was at rookie camp, top storyline. He's going to come into main camp. He will be the top storyline because everything will revolve around him. Your power play, Mitch, I had power play number 2. Demidov will dictate who's on what power play. Your number 2 was who's playing second line center. That revolves around Demidov because it actually plays into fact, do you put Suzuki with Demidov and move that line around? And does Newhook get that opportunity? Does Doc get that opportunity? Everything revolves around him heading into this training camp. So no doubt about it, it is the top story. Everyone will be talking Ivan Demidov.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
5-1, your top stories at training camp for the Canadiens.
5-1, my top stories are: who kills penalties at number 5? Who backs up Sam Montembeault at number 4? The battle with the bubble players at number 3. Second line center, number 2. And number 1, Demigod.
Mine 5-1. Can Florian Xhekaj make this team? Is David Reinbacher NHL ready at number 4? Who's on the PK unit number 3? The power play lines. Everything power play at number 2. And number 1, Ivan Demidov. That is our top 5 storylines heading into training camp. It's time for your top stories heading into training camp. Phone lines are officially open. Habs Lunch, 514-790-1690.